Perfectionism does not actually exist. So any pursuit of something that is unachievable is a pursuit of self-destruction. Perfection does not exist. It is unachievable. So any pursuit of perfection, something that does not exist, ends up being self-destruction instead of self-improvement. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of judgment, blame, and shame. Really and truly, perfectionism is not about self-improvement. Perfectionism is about showing up to the world in a way where you feel you will be accepted, in a way where you feel that you are protected. Perfectionism is like a shield, because if you look and live perfect and act perfect, no one can judge you. No one can shame you. There can be no criticism, and then you feel safe. But guess what? The gag is people are gonna judge you regardless of how you show up. If they want to judge you, they will judge you. You cannot control how other people perceive you. So perfectionism is just a shield that you hide behind to avoid these certain feelings. And as a result, you start to do things like set unrealistic expectations of yourself that you can never meet. Very important to recognize. So the next time you are holding back on a dream or a goal, or setting unrealistic expectations of yourself because you want people to perceive you in a certain way, you want to look perfect and be perfect so that people can think certain things about you, know that you are making choices towards self-destruction and not self-improvement. When setting goals, overachievers will set unrealistic goals for themselves that move them from their stretch zone to their stress zone. They often set goals that aren't just about reaching milestones or healthy striving, but actually goals that end up in burnout and stress. High achievers, on the other hand, set goals that are realistic. They are still ambitious, they still set goals for new things and they want to reach new heights, but they don't set goals that will be detrimental to their health and their sense of well-being. They set boundaries within their goal setting. So when you're a perfectionist, when you're an overachiever, imposter syndrome shows up in your life because when you set unrealistic goals and standards for yourself, it is very likely that you are not going to meet those standards. And then when you don't meet those standards, what's the first thing that pops into your ear? Imposter syndrome, going, I told you you couldn't do it. Who do you think you are to have done this? See, there was no way you were going to be able to grow that Instagram page, or there was no way you were going to be able to sell out your product and services. But now that imposter syndrome isn't there because we're actually not capable. You are capable, but sometimes you just set unrealistic goals for yourself. When it comes to measuring their progress and defining success, overachievers are very black and white with it. It's either or. They either ticked all the boxes or they did nothing at all. They either feel that they were 100% perfect and successful, or they were a complete failure. So let's say on your to-do list you have 20 things you want to tick off. And if you tick off 18 out of the 20 things, you see that as a day totally wasted. You feel bad about yourself that you didn't seize the day, that you didn't achieve anything today. Even though you have made some progress, because you didn't tick every single thing you wanted to do, you forget about all the other great things that you managed to do on that day. So they're constantly looking at what they've done wrong and never stop to appreciate and practice gratitude for what they have done right. When they do this, it makes them very negative, because if you only spot your mistakes, it's like when I ask people to tell me what their strengths are, they're looking left, they're looking right, they're looking up at heaven hoping something comes down. When I ask people to tell me what they're not so good at, they're like, oh, I'm so bad at this, I'm terrible at this, it rolls off their tongue. If you know your insecurities, your weaknesses more than you know your strengths, it means you're living from a place of lack, you're living from a place of limitation. And so every time you walk into a room, every time you get an idea of wanting to start posting on social media, or wanting to start a business, or wanting to speak up more in meetings, you're just thinking limitation, limitation, limitation. High achievers realize that they are not defined by their limitations. Their limitations are simply a part of their story. So if anyone brings up their limitations, they can accept it, they can own it, because it is a part of them, it is not the whole whole of them. On page 155 of Confident and Killing It, the book, I lay out how overachievement connects with very detrimental things. So when we summarize what an overachiever does, they set unrealistic expectations. They only focus on the outcome and they sacrifice their health, their relationship, their goals. They are obsessed with ticking all the boxes, and anything less than 100% is a complete failure. They spot their mistakes and they dwell on them continuously. And finally, they internalize failure and criticism as something being wrong with them. When you take all of those things together to look at, okay, what fruit is that going to produce in my life? Okay, because remember, your thoughts are connected to your feelings and your feelings are connected to the actions that you take. So when being an overachiever, all these traits that I just mentioned, when that is what is ruminating in your mind and in your heart and leads to the actions that you take, this is what you end up getting: stress, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues, self-sabotage, fear, burnout, physical body pains caused by stress, low confidence, procrastination, unfulfillment, isolation because no one wants to be around with you when all you're doing is trying to be perfect, and finally, insomnia. Okay, so every time you choose perfectionism, every time you choose to have a shield to hide so that you don't experience blame, shame, and judgment, know that you are not protecting yourself, but actually you are destroying yourself. You strive and strive and strive for perfection, and then when you actually do something well, you're just relieved that you've not failed. That is such a negative cycle and trap to be in. Okay, we want to break free from that. On some days, your best is going to look like 40%. Your best does not always look like 100%. So if you still showed up and you did your best is good enough. High achievers understand that slow progress is still progress. And then they embrace that journey that they're on. They don't obsess over results. They know that every step in the right direction is still something to celebrate, even though it was not in line with their original target. You do not exist to be accepted by the world, to measure up to the world standards, because guess what? The world standards are always changing. Trends, fashion trends are always changing. So if you live your life according to what is trending in society, you're going to be forever playing a game of catch up. It is so important to understand that perfectionism puts you on a rat race that you never finish. So instead, choose vulnerability. Choose to embrace your weaknesses and your strength, right? Brené Brown also says there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I just love that. We don't need to run away from who we really are. We don't need to try and hide and shield ourselves from the world just to be accepted. We don't need to perform just so people on social media can like us. As I've said in previous episodes, it is better to be rejected as the true version of yourself than it is to be accepted as a fake version of yourself. So when you are going through life, try not to let perfectionism get in the way of who you know you truly are and what you are capable of doing. Instead, let's opt for healthy striving. We can go and set ambitious goals, but it doesn't have to be goals that lead to burnout and stress, right? When people give us feedback, we can accept it and look for an opportunity to turn that feedback into growth, into a strength. When we make mistakes, we can identify that a mistake was made, but not internalize it as something being wrong with us. We know that our limitations are just a part of us. They are not all of us. And most importantly, even when life does not go according to plan, it is not a failure. Learn from every single lesson. Every single thing in life is a learning opportunity. Challenges are not here to break you, they are here to grow you. So let's keep an open mind. Let's keep a growth mindset. When you feel yourself holding back because you're thinking, oh, what are people going to think when they see this? Know that you're leaning into perfectionism. You're trying to perform for other people so they see you in a certain way. Instead, focus on doing your best. Focus on starting small, getting your work out there, showing up, and embracing that you're not going to be perfect, but there is so much beauty in your strengths and your imperfections. And remember, your imperfection that you have right now, that you are hiding, that you are trying to conceal under the guise of perfectionism, could be the thing that changes not only your life, but everyone else's life around you. You have to change the story in your head, and you do that by learning the truth. The truth is not that you have to strive for perfection and live perfect and be perfect and get it all right every single day of your life. That is a lie. And when you free yourself from that lie, life will be so much better.